Hello and welcome to the Reetin Entertainment Podcast, episode 370 for, what's the date today? It is October 2nd, 2022. My name is Nathan Reetin Spruce. Joining me this week, we have Andrew Roa McFain.
Oh, shit.
And Connor, the Cyberpunk Monk Besh.
Oh, shucks.
And of course, I am your host, Nathan Reetin Spruce. Hey, Aroa, where can we find you guys?
You go to the Aroa website.
And that's it?
You get a bunch of, there's links. You do go to them.
All the links
Connor,
you need for us is a Roa.website. One of those links I want to draw your attention to is Clinton's Core Classics, a Rise of the Rune Lords First Edition actual play podcast. I work hard on it, and I think you'll like it.
What are we going to do when we rebrand in like a year and a half?
That'll be fine. I mean, I'm sure if you look up Rise of the Rune Lords, we'll still be there.
Yeah, yes, we will be, and we'll figure it out. Like, we're gonna, just a little inside scoop. Once we're done with this Rise of the Rune Lords, we're gonna move on to other games, and so we're gonna have to kind of rebrand it because of a couple things. First off, Clinton may not be the GM or DM for every game, so we may have to rebrand that. And then it also won't be we're not just going to be running through Rise of the Rune Lords over and over again.
No, it's Reetin's Rise of the Rune Lords.
Yeah.
No, it was good for the one product, but it was not a long-term solution for a short-term name.
Yeah, but we'll figure it out. It's going to be, we'll have the Rise of the Rune Lords like playlist, and then we'll have the next playlist and the one after that, and it'll be more of an all-encompassing thing. We will not be, however, running multiple games at the same time. That's not something that I want to do, and we've experienced it before with the previous administration that it causes confusion, at least for me, when you see like 12 different shows going on at the same time on the same RSS feed.
Yeah, they did that like at our protests, and we were like, hey, that's really frustrating. People won't like that. And they're like, oh, well, do you want to pay for it? And I was like, no, I do not.
And now I'm paying for it.
And now Reetin is paying for it.
That's how it's going. Anyway, you can find me, Nathan Reetin Spruce. I'm Reetin everywhere. You can find me on a website, but mainly I'm on Twitch Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific time to 9 p.m. Pacific time, playing games. I also have a YouTube that I post occasionally to. This podcast goes up typically every Sunday, and yeah, we'll be good at the end of the month. I forget what the date is. I will not be here, so the last Sunday of the month, Aroa or Connor will have to host the podcast if they want. And Connor, what games have you played this week?
I've been playing too many games. Honorable shout out to Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition on the Switch. The Switch. Oh goodness, no, the Steam Deck. I mean. Still getting those growing pains out of the way, I guess. I love this console. Sleeping Dogs is, I mean, any open world game with a whole bunch of mini game stuff is really going to shine on this console, I have a feeling. I am enjoying Sleeping Dogs so much, and even though it's like a 10-year-old game, I still recommend it.
It's good. It's a good game. I wish they had they don't have a Sleeping Dogs 2, I don't think.
No, the game was a massive failure.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I still like it. I wish it the best, and I recommend people play it. And not so much about the game itself, but more about like the way that I personally play games. I had to do a whole bunch of work offsite at work, so I kept on having to go to like all of our other campuses.
Mm-hmm.
And all that work would be like, okay, yeah, I patched the port, test it. Oh, you're not actually going to test it for another 40 minutes, and I can't go until then? Well, I'm just going to take this Game Boy out of my pocket then. And it's been great for that. I'm very, very happy with my purchase.
It is perfect for that specific scenario, or when like you're traveling and you don't want to have, a giant laptop with you. You get a giant mini laptop.
You get a giant Game Boy.
Yeah, you get a giant Game Boy you got to take with you, and it's got a nice little case, which is really handy.
I was looking for an excuse to wear Jinko jeans again, and now I have something I could put in one of the pockets.
Oh, good. That's great. I still just use a backpack. That's what I put my Steam
that's where
Deck in.
mine lives.
Yeah. Anyway, Aroa, what games have you played this week?
So I've also been goofing on the old Steam Deck, playing Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance because I never finished it.
How's that?
Runs flawlessly. It's wonderful. It's
Good.
exactly like whenever the Switch was like just getting out into the market.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I said on this podcast to Connor, I was like, man, yeah, it'd be great if they would like re-release like 360 and PS3 era games on this device. Like it'd be great to play Shadow of Mordor on the Switch, or and like Metal Gear Rising. Like those would be great on the Switch. And they did a little bit of that, but for the most part, they have it. And now, thanks to the wonders of PC, I don't have to worry about that because I can play almost everything on my Steam Deck.
Good.
That came out in the last however many years.
Last 10 years or so, yeah. I mean, even as we discussed, even some newer games that are pretty intensive will run. You just have to kind of lower your expectations. Like, you're not going to get 60 frames a second on a AAA game, but you could limit it to 30 or 40 frames a second. And like Spider-Man even just came out, and that runs pretty great on the Steam Deck. I played Dying Light 2 a little bit on the Steam Deck. So there are games that, while may not be run perfectly on there, you can limit your expectations and still have them on the go, which is really, really good. I still want to see how The Outer Worlds runs on the Steam Deck, because I know the Switch port was awful.
Yeah, I mean, I have the best expectations for it, but the realist in me would want to see it before making that purchase.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's probably substantially better considering the Switch has a whopping 2 gigs of RAM.
Yeah.
And the Steam Deck kind of has like 8 times more than that. And I think that's the main thing that makes it look like shit on the Switch.
Does the Steam Deck have 16 gigs of RAM?
It sure does.
Oh, wow. I for some reason my brain was like, it's got 8 gigs, which
I think it has 8 gigs of video memory.
Damn. That's
a
lot. And have either of you tried hooking up a new graphics card or anything to your Switch? Haven't modded it like that? Not yet.
Yeah, I actually crammed a 3080 inside of my Steam Deck.
It won't run NVIDIA GPUs. You have to use...
you just have to solder it one by one pin at a time.
No. I've seen people who have taken...
You can install Windows.
That's true. You can install Windows, but it's kind of a janky experience. It's not great.
Are you talking about Windows in general, Rimshot?
Yeah. But with the Steam Deck, people have taken it apart and like with this Steam OS added like a Radeon graphics card into it or whatever, and that seems to work really well. It's just really, why would you do that? Why would you ever do that?
I don't understand.
And they have a new docking station coming out. One of the third-party docking stations has M.2 slots, so you can add additional storage via the docking station that you plug it into, which is pretty cool. Anyway,
that would make sense.
That would make sense and be pretty cool. But we're gonna move on. We're gonna talk about the games that I played. Last week after this podcast, we did not have our tabletop game that we normally play. Well, by normally play, I mean the tabletop game that we play once a month. And so I was like, I'm gonna stream some Final Fantasy VI and see if I can, beat this game. And I did. So I beat. Did you know that when you have a character that has there's an item called the Celestiad, which allows all of your magic attacks to be 1 MP. And then there's another item that allows you to have dual cast, So when you're dual casting the most powerful spell in the game, the final boss does not last very long. So, yeah.
Spamming an attack that does 9,999 damage multiple times is a surefire way of victory. The brute force method, if you will.
Yeah. So I beat that game relatively easily. There's, as always, there's stuff that I didn't get or didn't do because I'm not a completionist. I don't beat games 100%. So I did get all of the characters and get most of the storylines done, but other than that, it was good. It was good. I had fun. I think it's one of the best Final Fantasy games ever made. Final Fantasy 6 and 9, I think, are my favorite. Obviously, 7 is one of the best games ever made as well. And currently, because of that, on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I decided to start up the other Final Fantasy game I haven't beaten, which is Final Fantasy 12. There is a 4 times mode in the Zodiac Age, which makes grinding way easier. Because you're just running around at 4 times normal speed. I did not know about this because I don't think Connor mentioned it when he was playing through the Zodiac Age.
That's the mode I used almost exclusively when I was playing Zodiac Age.
I probably won't use it all. Like if I'm just running through a normal running through an area just trying to do the story and stuff, I'll probably have it on normal speed. But if I'm grinding, I'll just flip it on 2 times or 4 times speed and let that go for a while.
This game definitely has symptoms of being just in that time period of like when everything was MMO based and big open empty worlds were just, the common thing. I can't imagine playing this game without a speed multiplier. I would go crazy.
There is some validity to that. I also am not a huge fan of the license grid that they use.
It's also a symptom of a time. It's okay. It's fine. Progression is always limited by the story and not how many points you have anyways, which is it feels awful when you have a whole bunch of points from farming and you're like, great, I don't have access to any of this stuff now.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's fine.
I just don't like that like you're required to have a license to use a specific weapon even if you're the right level and everything for that weapon. It's weird to me. But it's
Demasian law, man.
I know. You got to follow the law. And I also it's clearly inspired by Final Fantasy 11. Because Final Fantasy 11 came out, that was an MMO. Final Fantasy 12 feels like they were trying to make a single player Final Fantasy 11. And they kind of succeeded in that. I just wish that they would have based it on the same world that is in Final Fantasy 11. I really like that world, and I don't think they've explored it enough. Anyway.
Have you ever played Final Fantasy Tactics? Not to derail or anything, but that's like one of the best ones, and it's the same world.
Yeah. They're all in
Ivalice.
Shucks. Yeah, Ivalice.
And that's like one of the best parts of that game. God, I love the political intrigue of that world.
Yeah. So that's cool. I think Tactics, and then there's Tactics Advance.
Tactics 2, yeah.
And both of those are in the same world as Final Fantasy 12. Vana'diel, which is in Final Fantasy 11, I don't think has been in any other game, but I could be mistaken. They may reference it somewhere else, and I know that they have some crossover events with Final Fantasy 14. Anyway, on Friday night, I decided to link up with my friend Durga, and we played some of Overwatch with mechs, which is Gundam Evolution, and it's okay. It's very cash shoppy. So it's a free to play game.
Right?
It's Overwatch. It's a free to play game. You get some loot thingies, not really loot boxes like they did in Overwatch, but loot thingies, and then there's a few characters that you have to unlock, and you can unlock them with points earned in the game, very slowly earning the points in the game, or you can just pay $10 per character, basically. And I'm not going to do that. There's like 4 or 5 characters that you can unlock. I think there's 5 characters you can unlock, and the biggest pack you can get only gives you enough to get 4 characters. So you have to buy at least the biggest one, the biggest pack, and then the $9.99 pack, and then you'll have points left over. So then you're encouraged to pay more. It's very scummy the way that they do that. But that being said, I did have fun with it, and it's possible that if I have friends that want to play it, I will continue playing it because it's a free to play game. So at least I'm not dumping a bunch of money if I don't want to. Anyway,
You guys remember when you could like buy a game and that game was just complete?
I remember back in my day when the game was the game.
I don't remember that. I remember back in my day they had really weird DLC where you would buy a cartridge and then you would have to put another cartridge on top of that to get the full game.
But then you could play as Knuckles.
If Knuckles was the DLC.
You tried it on every other game that you owned, and I think except for like one other game, it never worked.
It didn't work.
Sonic 2.
It was Sonic 2. You could load up with Sonic 2 and what it put Knuckles in Sonic 2, right? That's what happened.
Yeah, it made it to where you could play as Knuckles in Sonic 2.
Yeah.
Which is so dope.
I mean,
yeah,
it is really cool, but that was just DLC.
It totally was just DLC, but like the whole aspect of it, the way it was sold, the physicality of it, like awesome. I wish DLC it did something practical.
Actually, it wasn't specifically DLC, and yet Sonic 3 and Knuckles was supposed to be one unified game, but they were forced to release them as two separate games. And so the lock-on technology was created so that you could play Sonic and Knuckles and Sonic 3 and Knuckles as one unified game as was originally intended.
Originally intended.
Yes, and they lied about it. They basically said, "Oh, the game is so big, we have to do this." When in reality, they're like, "It's not done."
That wasn't entirely untrue. Just because that they were both 4 megabit cartridges, which is the most that a Sega Genesis game can be.
Interesting. Okay, we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about some news stories, because we already started a little late here. As you can tell...
And we got to actually rush.
Yeah, well, not really. We have plenty of time. So, Google Stadia is shutting down.
Yep.
Yay!
Finally, we've been calling it. We've been calling it for a while.
I was gonna say, I feel like this has been a premonition. Like it's been a very dramatically slow death.
I wanted to, and I did not do it before the podcast. I wanted to look and see all of the services that Google has started up and then just shut down.
I mean, there's a website dedicated to that.
And I bet Stadia is added to that now. Let's see if Aroa can find it while we talk about this.
Yeah, it's there along with Google Currents has also been slated for death, along with something that's part of Google Assistant called Conversational Actions.
That's like I think Stadia is an interesting idea, but again, why would I want to pay full price for a game to stream it? It would make more sense if it were more akin to like a Netflix type experience where you or let's go back to the past, Sega Channel. Where you had, just a list of content that you could play on the go. And unfortunately they didn't do that because they're dumb, and there are other competitors out there that have a service more akin to that, and you couldn't play it on real hardware, which I think is part of why the way that they're shutting it down, a lot of people are praising them for, but I think it's just so that they cover their own asses.
Well, yeah, it's just it's a way for them to still look like good guy Google, even though this is an objectively just bad situation.
So they're shutting it down, and what you would do, if you don't know what Google Stadia was, you'd log in, you'd have a list of games that you could purchase, so Destiny 2 or something like that, I don't know, and say, I'm going to purchase this game at full price, and then what you would do is you'd play it through their servers. So you didn't really need a powerful PC or even a console, like a PS4 or
or
Xbox
even a
One.
PC.
Yeah,
Like you can just play on your phone
you can play on
or
your
on
phone
your TV.
or on your Chromecast. People would
Yeah.
play on their Chromecast, stuff like that. And you would do that, and they would basically stream it to you. They're shutting down, so you're not going to be able to have access to that, which is the big problem with a lot of these solutions that I've always looked at, is if the service shuts down, what happens to your games? If they discontinue the Sega Genesis, you still have access to Sonic 3 and Knuckles. But if they shut down Sega Channel, which they did, you don't have access to those games anymore. And the way that they're closing it down, that Aroa alluded to earlier, was that they are giving full refunds, I believe, for the hardware and software.
Yep.
So all of the hardware, like let's say you spent $1,000 on games, they're giving that back to you, which is, I admit, pretty cool. But also, I think it's a way to cover their asses, because if it were something like Origin shutting down, or there is one that the Bethesda launcher, did that shut down?
Yeah, they gave everyone Steam keys.
Yeah, and Stadia can't do that.
Right.
Because not everyone who owns or uses Stadia has the ability to plug in a PC and play that game on Steam. So I would say that they kind of have to give these refunds because there's no other alternative. The only other alternative would be to say, like, hey, do you want Steam keys instead of us giving you these refunds? And they probably looked at that solution and were just like, let's just give the refunds. It's just going to be easier to give the money away.
Well, yeah, because otherwise you're looking at like you're looking at a very large potential for lawsuits.
Yeah.
Doing something like that, because in a lot of people's minds, Google is essentially stealing from you if they take away access to the product that you purchased.
Yeah.
And then they don't give you any other way of using that product.
Yeah, and I believe they're still going to be using this technology. We've discussed it.
Absolutely.
We've discussed it with AT&T. I think did some stuff with, was it Tomb Raider? There was a game. Batman, and you could play Batman and beat Batman on your AT&T mobile device by using the Google Stadia servers. And they're probably still going to be using that for certain things.
They're going to be selling Stadia as a white label product.
Yeah. Which and
So.
I think there are also some, I could be wrong, some Switch games that are utilizing this technology. I know that there's another company that does it for like Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, I think that's a different company that does at least the Kingdom Hearts ones.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the sort of thing that, Google's just going to take this tech and repurpose it for, hey, company X, do you want to do a streaming video game promotion and don't want to have to invest in your own infrastructure? We've got a solution.
Yeah.
And that's what they'll do. They'll probably also use it for I'm sure there'll inevitably be like a Google Doodle that utilizes it. I'm sure that like video game companies, like the whole like big thing that I think made Stadia stand out initially whenever it was announced was the potential tie-in to YouTube, where you could start watching a video or a stream of a game, decide you want to play that game, and then just be able to hit a button and start playing it. And I don't think they ever even actually made good on that.
I don't think so. And that's kind of the same thing with like it's similar with like Twitch. Mm-hmm. They want to be like, oh, you like this game, go buy it on go buy it on Amazon. And they never,
Right.
they kind of have it, but it never really did anything.
Yeah, no, it like then the streamer got like a cut of all the sales, so it was good for very specific scenarios. But I always thought that it would be a cool idea to be able to, especially with how demos, at least for big games, are kind of non-existent on PC. Indie games have been getting back more into the demo space, but big games like AAA titles don't really have demos, and streaming is kind of like the perfect way of you can play this game for free for an hour or whatever and see if that's your thing, and you can use stuff like YouTube's recent investment in streaming to kind of leverage that technology and be like, hey, you're watching the streamer enjoy this game, wouldn't you like to play it yourself? Or even even if you could partner with a publisher and be like, if you're watching somebody play this game on their stream and they have this feature turned on, you can play the game with them through our service. Like,
Yeah.
and that was all stuff that they were said they were going to do with Stadia, and they just never did. And so I don't know if that's ever going to pan out. But like that sort of stuff is where I think streaming games uh, really like has a lot of potential. But
I
obviously, acting as like on live version 0.5 is
isn't,
not because I can't even say it's like on live 2.0 because like it like you said, the business model didn't make any sense, and
no.
they tried to add a like PlayStation Plus slash Xbox Live Games with Gold thing, and it did not take off because they had no games for it. I think you got
Yeah.
like 1 or 2 games a month.
I think the service that makes the most sense is xCloud, because you're already paying for Game Pass and Game Pass Ultimate. So just having that additional feature available is cool. I think that makes the most sense to have it as an addition and not the whole thing that you're paying for.
I think GeForce Now makes a good case for itself. Um, like the fact that you do have to pay like an additional fee for just the privilege of streaming your library kind of sucks. But I think it's a good like solution for if the game that you want to play is not on Xbox's platform, but
Yeah.
you still want to be able to play it like on your phone, and you don't want to go through the trouble of like setting up Steam's own streaming solution. I'm kind of surprised that Steam hasn't set up their own sort of thing like this, and I could see them, if Google's going to be pushing this as a white label product to other companies, I could see them like pushing this towards Steam and being like, "Hey, Valve, like, what if you had people be able to pay like $5 a month and you can stream your whole Steam library wherever you are on whatever device?"
Yeah.
But
The only thing that worries me about this is how Google will just readily cut products.
oh yeah,
So like Stadia, and you said Currents, and there was another one, and there's a ton of
yeah,
products.
274 products that have been killed by Google overall.
Yeah,
I want
and
to say that's a part of their like main design philosophy is they know they have the resources to throw at the wall, knowing that 9/10 of them will inevitably fail.
yeah.
But those 1/10 can end up paying for the other 9/10 and more if it's a hit.
Well,
Mhm.
that is part of their business model, but usually products like this don't really end up making it out to the consumer market unless they're good in the first place.
Yeah.
Like,
And it seems like over the years, especially in the last like maybe 5 years or so, they've been way more apt to just throw a product out there and be like, okay, let's see if the public will beta test this for us and see if it pans out, and then it never does.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm worried about Google Fi.
you just
Considering I
better
have
hope
it.
that it's profitable.
Yeah, I better hope that otherwise they're just gonna be like, hey, you got a month, have fun, figure
Go
it
find
out.
someone else. You
Though
screwed.
I would think in the case of Fi, they're probably harvesting a fuckload of data off of that, so it's probably worth it for
That's
them.
true. That
Yeah,
probably is.
Going back to what Aroa said, though, I think a big part of why all of this is happening in this like specific instance is they're supposed to be innovating. They're supposed to be adding all of these new features, like playing with streamers for a good example, and they didn't. So
Yeah.
it didn't work. Like it's not that they're not doing these like to try. It's that they're just kind of doing what other people have done, and no wonder it's not successful. Those other ones weren't really successful either, were they?
On Live was incredibly successful for about 5 minutes.
For a
Yeah.
whole 10 running hours, and then everybody else gave up on it.
Yeah.
Like the problem here is that they essentially did the same thing that they did with Google Music, where they put out a service that was exactly the same as every other service that did the same fucking thing, and like you said, never really innovated beyond maybe one or two features that were kind of cool. And so they ended up just kind of scooping all that tech up and putting it into YouTube Music because, hey, why not? But like there are so many other platforms that allow you to stream games and give the consumer side a much better deal. Like even Amazon's solution isn't like, it's not fantastic, but none of them are fantastic. And Amazon's is, again, just like you pay a subscription, you get a whole bunch of games, and it's not like games that are fucking 5 years old like where Stadia was. Like,
Yeah. But we should move on and we should complain about Twitch.
okay.
Yeah, let's do it. So Twitch has been doing a lot of things recently that have kind of upset people. We've discussed it. I think we may have discussed it in the podcast, but basically a lot of people are moving from Twitch to YouTube, and they limited or they removed something from the partners. So it used to be a 70-30 split. So 70% of the profit went to the streamer and 30% went to Twitch. They have removed that. Now it's 50-50. But they let partners go and say, hey, you can stream other places too. So you can dual stream if you want, or you can make up, we're offering a little bit more money in ads, so you can make up that income we're taking away from you by running more ads. Annoying. But it's also annoying. They did not lift that requirement for affiliates. Affiliates still cannot dual stream. Yeah. It's stupid.
It's dumb.
Yeah,
Why?
it's really,
I
really
did
dumb.
not realize that.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either until yesterday. I was talking to my friend who was streaming, and they said, "Yeah, you can't do that. You can't stream."
I
dual
didn't
stream.
know that affiliates were locked to Twitch. I
They-
thought that was only partners.
At
So
least
they're-
at the same time.
Yeah, so any content that you have on Twitch has to stay on Twitch for 24 hours.
right?
It's an exclusive. It's an exclusive agreement, and they removed it for partners, but they did not remove it for affiliates. Which, if you don't know, if you're listening to this and you don't know, affiliates are lower than partners. They are the you got your base streamer, you've got the affiliates who jumping that hurdle is pretty easy. And then from there you've got the partnership, and the partnership is like the top 1% of streamers, if not more, right? Like, just so you know, I was watching something and they said the top 1% of streamers on Twitch get an average of 20 viewers. So those people who have 7,000 or 8,000, they're in the top like 0.01% of streamers.
Oh, yeah,
So-
even like the biggest streamer that I watch is German985.
Yeah.
He usually tops out at like 2,500.
Yeah,
So-
and so he's like, top 0.1% or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But so just so you know, if you're listening to this and you stream, and just like me, I get 3 to 5 people on average on a typical night. I don't feel that bad. Like knowing that the top 1% only get 20, like it makes me feel a lot better that, I get maybe a max of 10 if it's a really good night. So it kind of makes it feel better to know that everyone's kind of in the same situation. But going from that, they've done some other things that have upset the community. And one thing is they're testing a new solution. I don't know what this. You know what? On YouTube, there's super chats.
Mm-hmm.
So you pay a bit of money, you get you get like a notification. The streamer gets a notification that says, "Hey, this person said this," and has paid money so that you
it
see
also
that
pops up at the top of the actual chat box,
Yeah, and
so everyone sees it.
So Twitch was like, we want in on this. And they are doing it. I don't know. Do you know what the cost is for a super chat on YouTube?
The streamer sets it.
Okay.
So
Can't you?
It depends.
I
Okay.
want to say I've seen them like variable. Can you set like the limit, or is it always the
Yeah.
one price?
No, you set like tiers. Like
Tiers.
if you
Okay, that makes sense.
if you go, I'm gonna post the actual Twitch article on this.
Okay.
But the Twitch layout is exactly the same as it is on YouTube.
Right.
Like
it is
they
very
just
simple.
straight ripped all of the. It's not even like, I wouldn't even say very similar. Like they just straight up took the YouTube product and said make this, and then their engineers made it. Like it is blatant.
But here's the thing. So with the super chat, they set the price. So I could, if I had a super chat set up, I could set $1, $2, $3, whatever.
Correct.
Something really cheap, because let's be fair, I would feel bad if somebody was donating a ton of money just for me to read their chat message, right? However, Twitch, they don't have a problem with you spending a lot of money. For $5, it is your chat is highlighted for 30 seconds. We'll skip some of the things, but for $50, your chat is highlighted for 2 minutes. That's
wait a minute.
That doesn't scale.
Wait a minute.
No.
Wait a minute.
No.
Don't think you're thinking about it. Don't think about it.
For $100, your chat is highlighted for 2.5 minutes.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Now, I'm pretty sure that means that you went from paying $5 for 30 seconds to $50 for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that their scaling might be a bit off. Now, this does put it into like a queue. So let's say Aroa pays $5 in my chat to elevate his chat message for 5 minutes, or for 30 seconds. 5 minutes, right? For 30 seconds. And then somebody else pays $100 for the 2.5 minutes. It's not going to highlight that 2.5 minute one until Aroa's 30 seconds is up. But you could just pay $25 to get 2.5 minutes, like, because you could pay $5 5 times and get 2.5 minutes of your chat being highlighted. The only thing is, if somebody else decided to, in the interim, put in their own $5 to elevate their chat, then yours will be superseded. It would be like 30 seconds for you and then 30 seconds for the next person, and then your chat would be highlighted again. But also, why would you pay $100 to have your chat elevated for 2.5 minutes? This is incredibly bad. I would feel bad if somebody paid $100 for their chat to be elevated in my stream. I would be like, no, why? What are you doing with your life? Please stop it.
I already don't really understand people who pay $10 for a super chat. Like I don't understand the logic there. But goddamn, like what the hell does Twitch think viewers do? Like what?
I
Yeah.
am curious to see like the percentage of what people will purchase what tier, and B, like 10, 15 years from now when it turns out Switch was just a massive racket to like funnel in money.
Well,
Why else would they
y-
do this? It doesn't
y-
make sense.
I know
Well,
exactly why they're doing it.
was
Just
because
because people dumb?
Twitch is like hideously unprofitable,
Yeah. Well, that's it
and
too.
they're
But
trying to get around that problem.
this is a test. They are
Oh, it is.
testing this. They are testing this out. It's
They
not
they said that.
right. And so what they're gonna do is they're gonna test it out and be like, there are some people who are gonna be in some chats, like the bikini streams, right, or the hot tub streams, and
Yeah.
they are definitely going to pay that $100, and they're gonna do it a few times. People are gonna make a boatload of money for this experimental phase, and then Twitch isn't gonna do it anymore. They're going to be like, nah, it was kind of a failure, so we're not going to do it anymore. So they're going to make a bunch of money off of
No,
those
I don't think that's true.
thirsty boys. And
I think they're going to run this experiment, and they're going to find out which amounts are the most popular, so that they can set those as like the defaults, and that'll determine all of that. If they allow streamers to set their own thresholds in the first place.
remember
Otherwise, they'll just do that.
Remember when Twitch had like guidelines for how much boobage you could show? Like, remember when they had like standards, and if you showed too much boobs, you'd get like banned, and now they're just promoting bikini streams.
You still get in trouble for underboob. Underboob specifically is like that is a bannable offense.
But
makes no sense. Granted, you'll probably only get like maybe 3 days tops.
Yeah.
I mean, the one chick just got straight up fucked on stream and only got a week. So
yeah. So anyway, Twitch is awful, but I've also spoken.
But you know what? At least these elevated chats are a 70-30 split.
That's true. They definitely are. But here's the thing. A lot of people are like looking at things like this. They're looking at the hot tub streams. They're looking at the Twitch elevated chats. They're looking at the 50-50 split instead of a 20-30 split. And they're saying, I'm going to go over to YouTube because they're going to maybe treat me better. And the fact of the matter is they probably, like, if you're a bigger streamer, if you're one of those top 1% or definitely the 0.1% and you're moving over to YouTube, they're going to roll out the red carpet for you. If Aroa and I decided that we were going to boycott Twitch, no one would give a shit.
Well, yeah.
So
this is only going to affect people who are actually,
yeah,
relevant.
Yeah, not us. Definitely not us yet. Maybe one day we'll become relevant once everybody else leaves Twitch. It's just us.
Somehow I think that we're going to end up in nuclear holocaust before that happens, but it's worth hoping.
It's probably. But we're going to move on. We're going to talk about another one. Actually, kind of a good story. The Intel Arc A770 and A750s have, I believe, they've gotten their prices released, and I believe they have also gotten their launch dates. They have got their launch date as well, which is fairly soon. First off, the prices of the A750 and the A770. The A750 is $289, and apparently it's supposed to go head-to-head with the RTX 3060. And the A770 is, my brain cannot find it. It's like $329, I believe, from memory. I can't find it here. Did you watch any of the announcement, Aroa?
No, I don't care.
So you're not gonna buy it, huh?
No, no.
Oh, okay. I found
No.
it. I found it. So it's the A770 is going to be $349 for the 16 gig model, or $329 for the 8 gig model, and then the
guys, why are you having multiple SKUs for the same model? Stop it.
Yeah, and then the A750
you're still new,
Right. The A750 is going to be $289. And then there's another one that's an A580, which has not been announced. There's no release date and no starting price announced yet. And then, of course, there's the A380, which is already released. And that was $139. And it wasn't great. So, I mean, these are competitive prices, right? Like, the only problem is they should have released a year ago, while prices were still insanely high. And had they have launched at these prices a year ago, they would have done gangbusters. But now that the 3060s and the 3070s are coming down, I don't think that there's really a place for this other than a cheap AV1 encoder. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
I don't think I agree that would have sold gangbusters, a year or so ago. Just because there weren't any other options doesn't mean people are going to look at a chip like this and like it's not that good.
I mean, okay, but I still think that if these launched a year ago, and they said, hey, we're gonna have 3060 performance, but you're only paying $289 as opposed to $700 from a scalper. I think that these would have done really well.
It would have done better.
Yeah.
But I think that there are a lot of people, myself included, who would have gone, yeah, but it's an Intel GPU, and I don't know how well that's going to perform or whether or not I'm going to have driver updates in a year from now.
Yeah, that's
Scalper
true.
Or otherwise, I feel like the people who are really settling for the 3060 managed to get their hands on one anyways.
I don't know. Like, it was still really hard to find even also, 3060s.
Like, why... I guess there are a lot of people who would go, well, I gotta have a new graphics card. Mine's just too old. But, like, games really haven't become that much more demanding over the last however many years. Like,
yeah,
I understand if maybe you're rolling like a 960 or, God forbid, like a 700 series.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see that being like a huge market. I think a lot of people who didn't upgrade with like the 20 series are still rolling like a 980 or a 970, which is still totally adequate for most games.
Yeah.
And I don't think that anyone other than like the least savvy PC gamer, which honestly, like, if you're not a savvy PC gamer who builds your own PC, that's what I'm saying. You're not someone who builds your own PC. You're not going to upgrade your own graphics card, so this isn't going to apply to you anyway. You're going to go to Alienware, or I can't even think of another I buy Power or something. You're gonna buy a pre-built, and you're not even really going to know what's in it, other than based on what's in the readout on the product page.
Right.
Like, so I don't think, especially without OEMs getting in on it, that the Intel GPUs, at least the first gen, would have been successful, like super successful regardless. You would have had a lot of curious people and a lot of maybe particularly desperate people. But otherwise, I just don't see any scenario where people go, even if this is supposed to have equivalent performance, like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and buy the Intel GPU, even in spite of the fact that, like, it's a very risky thing to do, because, like, $300 is still $300.
Right. I did it. I bought the Arc A380 and it performs terribly.
Right. And
just to test it out, just because I wanted to test it out.
Yeah, you were curious. Right.
Yeah. The main problem, or the main selling factor for me, where I would even consider like, okay, maybe I could splurge $300 to buy the 750, the A750, is that AV1 support. I think that is awesome, but right now, Twitch and YouTube neither one has full AV1 support for streaming. So
And
once that is implemented,
I don't think anyone cares about that, honestly.
there's some there are some people who care about that. Twitch and YouTube have both stated that they are interested in it, and every
but I'm
video
saying
that
I don't think that's a selling point for Intel
right,
GPUs.
right.
For like all but 10 people, you included.
Yeah. But like YouTube already, when you upload a video, they convert all of the videos to AV1. So like hopefully YouTube and Twitch here soon will start supporting the AV1 codec for when you're streaming, which will make streams look and feel a lot better. However, you know, again, I am probably the only person who cares. Although I do the 4000 series of NVIDIA GPUs are going to have an AV1 encoder as well. They announced that.
It's going to take more hardware coming out for that to be adopted like across the industry.
Yeah.
But
as technology continues to innovate, it'll go with it. That's just the nature of how these sort of things progress.
Right. So
we've needed a
big wipe.
We've needed a replacement for H.264 for a long time now.
Yeah.
So
and I've watched
H.265 was supposed to be that and didn't really work out because of
proprietary.
No one wants to adopt the fucking proprietary video encoding technology whenever the upgrade really isn't all that significant.
Yeah, and AV1 is better than H.265. So hopefully we'll be seeing, because I think that because the Intel GPUs, but mainly the NVIDIA GPUs are coming out that have AV1 support, that's going to kind of kick Twitch and YouTube in the butt to support it. That's my theory, at least. We're going to move on, and we're going to talk about some Disney. I did not know that Sling was owned by Dish TV.
Yeah. It was kind of weird.
That happened in 2017. So before that, because Sling has been around since like 2004, something crazy. But in 2017, they got bought by Dish. I think this is mainly because Disney has Disney Plus, and they're just trying to get out of their contracts with other companies. So they're saying like, oh, you need X amount of billions of dollars to be able to keep our stuff, and other companies like YouTube TV, which had a disagreement, but then they resolved it with Disney, or Dish and Sling. I think Disney's just trying to get out of their contracts so that they can kind of push people towards Disney Plus rather than having them watch the content on other providers. That's my theory. But it looks like Disney is taking away channels from Sling and Dish because it was going to cost Dish over $1 billion to continue having that programming. And there's a lot of stuff that is being taken away. ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, ESPN News, ESPN Deportes, Disney Channel, Disney Junior, Disney XD, Freeform. I have no idea what that is. FXX. Again, I don't know what that is. FX.
It's another FX.
Oh, okay.
Which is a Fox. It's a Fox station.
Okay. FXM, National Geographic, National Geographic Wild or National Geo Wild, Nat Geo Mundo, ACC Network, SEC Network, Longhorn Network, and Baby TV.
Real talk. Shout out to Nat Geo Mundo. That's pretty fantastic. I'm happy that exists.
Yes.
What the hell is Nat? Is that like Spanish?
It's got to be
Telemundo Nat Geo.
Yeah, National Geographic. It's got to be the Spanish speaking National Geographic, which is
and the person who named that program. I'm going to write them an email and just let them know I'm a big fan and to keep up the good work.
What about Baby TV?
No, don't care about that one.
Okay. There's also local ABC stations that are going to be taken out of Chicago, Fresno, California, Houston, Los Angeles, New York City, Philadelphia, Raleigh, North Carolina, and San Francisco. I don't know why this article decided to have the city and state for some of the towns that they mentioned, but not all of them.
Maybe you wouldn't know where Fresno was.
Yeah. So
Actually, I think that's the they did it with Raleigh too.
Yeah, Raleigh, North Carolina. Yeah. But yeah, so
it's a really hard to read sentence.
It really, I got through it, shockingly enough. I actually read this story earlier and was like, okay, I have to say this correctly. It says on here in the article from Engadget, this is the second time in the space of a year that Disney's channels have gone dark on a major live TV streaming service. YouTube TV lost access to them last December over a carriage fee. That's weird. Carriage fee?
I think it's pronounced carriage fee.
Carriage fee. That's probably right. The standoff didn't last long, however, as the likes of ESPN and local ABC stations returned the next day. There are also Dish has also lost some other media giants like HBO and Cinemax vanished from Dish and Sling in 2018. And HBO Max became available on Dish again last year.
No.
So, yeah, It says the channels and HBO Max became available on Dish again last year.
Oh,
HBO and Cinemax.
I thought you said Dish and Sling.
Oh no. Well, I think that they're available on Sling, but you have to like buy it as an add-on. They're not. Okay.
It says in the next sentence, the channels and HBO Max still aren't available on Sling TV.
Interesting. It doesn't matter to me. I have Sling TV. I personally prefer it over YouTube TV, mainly because of the pricing. The only problem I have with it is I use it for expressly to watch wrestling. That's all I have it for, is I want to watch wrestling, and Sling TV is the best way to do that and the cheapest way. But every time I turn on Sling TV, it's like, hey, do you want to watch Fox News? And I'm like, no, I definitely do not want to watch Fox News. So
why not?
So Sling, if you're listening, please remove Fox News. You can take that with Disney. Just get it off your fucking platform.
Doesn't Disney own Fox? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that is shocking that they are not taking away Fox News, sadly. Although I don't know. I don't know.
It doesn't? I thought
Disney.
Yeah,
so Disney bought some of Fox.
Yeah. Disney bought like the movie side and like the everything except the news, basically.
That sounds on brand. To be fair, like they don't want it.
Like, why would they want the news? Right?
Well, why would they want Fox News? Too?
Yeah, that's like that particularly.
Like, or I could see either way. Like, they don't want.
How fucking awkward would that be? Because then Fox News would have to like completely change everything about how they do things.
Yeah. They're like, hey, remember how you hate people? Stop that.
But and hear me out here. That would make Tucker Carlson a Disney princess.
But yeah, so Dish and Sling are losing some channels that I don't really care about. Like,
I don't think this is a great loss at all.
No,
National Geographic is like the worst channel of that type.
Now,
in terms of entertainment, like I'm sure it's quality stuff, but
yeah,
I want to watch Ghost Adventures.
I am sure that there are some people who got Dish TV or Sling TV, just to watch ESPN and stuff.
Oh yeah, 100%. And there are going to be a lot of parents who are like, "What do you mean I don't have Disney Channel anymore?"
Yeah, like it's not a huge loss for us because we're not watching Disney Channel original movies that much, except for Hocus Pocus 2. But
apparently that movie sucks.
Oh really? I heard it was okay. My
wife watched it yesterday and she said it was terrible.
Oh, I'm I'm still
and
gonna
that the
watch it.
Munsters was actually pretty good.
Well, your wife apparently has terrible taste in movies.
Wait, have you seen the new Munsters?
I heard it's terrible.
Well, you see, you're going off of you heard.
I know.
You gotta,
But you are doing the same thing.
yeah, but I'm going off of what people I personally know said, not Rotten Tomatoes.
That's true. I plan on watching both of those movies. I have both of them. I just haven't had the time to watch them. So I will do that at some point.
I watched one scene of the Munsters movie, and I think it looks really good.
I think
I think it looks
that
cute and well done.
I'm probably gonna like both of the movies. To be fair,
You probably will.
yeah. But we're gonna move on. We're gonna talk about what are we talking about?
Isn't it,
Oh, this is you. This is
time-
something you
yeah.
brought up. Yeah.
It's time to talk about this thing that I just found out about yesterday that like actually kind of pissed me off.
I heard about it. I read about this, but I didn't know that you would want to talk about this.
Yeah. So, there was an MMO in the Shin Megami Tensei franchise years and years ago, called Shin Megami Tensei Online Imagine, which was eventually cut down to just Shin Megami Tensei Imagine. I think it started out as a subscription game, turned into a free-to-play game, as they all do, and eventually was shut down in 2016. And as anyone on the internet knows, people who are anime fans will find any way that they can to continue experiencing a piece of media if it's related to their favorite anime franchise. And Shin Megami Tensei is a very popular franchise.
Yeah, it is.
And so the fan base ended up creating a fan server for the MMO, and it's been running for, I want to say, like maybe a couple of years now. And apparently Atlas is suing them over it.
Oh, are they?
And not just like a cease and desist, straight up suing them for copyright infringement. And
Interesting.
on the surface, this sounds like really, really fucking stupid and egregious. I will give Atlas a little bit of credit in that apparently the server that they're suing, because they're actually two. The one that I played on earlier on was Reimagine. There was also one called Rekuimu, which I have no idea what that's related to. I'm sure it's a reference or something.
Yeah.
But that's the one that's being sued, not Reimagine. But apparently the Rekuimu website is like a direct clone of the original Imagine website, and kind of pretends that it's like the official website and shit. That's not cool. That's illegal. So I get that part, because that's part of the lawsuit. You can look at the lawsuit. The three things that they're complaining about are the use of their copyrighted material in the website and how it's an exact clone of the original Imagine website, as well as distributing the client, which I think that's fucking stupid that they're whining about that whenever it was a fucking free-to-play game. So like anybody could get the client. It doesn't fucking matter. But then the third part is that they're running a server emulator, which I am afraid of how this lawsuit's going to turn out, because if that charge or complaint is not taken out, that could be very bad news for other dead MMO server emulators that currently exist, and even server emulators for like just multiplayer games. Because there are emulators available for like old PS2 and original Xbox games. The Resident Evil game on PS2, Outbreak, has a server emulator that's out there, and like you can't play it online without having some kind of server emulator, because it's an online game that uses dedicated servers.
Well, same thing with we've got EverQuest, and we have so there's EverQuest has like Project 99, which is an EverQuest server emulate, like they have to emulate the server.
Mhm.
City of Heroes really has a really big community. Star Wars Galaxies has like 3 or 4 different variations of servers. Now SOE or Daybreak, that's Daybreak has come out and said, "Hey, we are cool with this. You can do it as long as you're not making money. You can do whatever." And shockingly enough, Lucas slash Disney has not gone after the Star Wars Galaxies emulators.
And like that is surprising that they haven't even sent them like a cease and desist. But at the same time, why the fuck would they?
Yeah,
Like, and I know why they would, but from a moral standpoint, like, what do they have to gain? What does Atlas stand to gain in this scenario? They're just kind of shitting out bad will towards them because they're attacking fans who just want to play this game that hasn't been playable since 2016.
yeah,
Like it would be one thing if this was still running, like how the WoW Classic servers existed before WoW Classic was actually a thing. It would be one thing if SMT Imagine was still running, but it was like a really shitty cash shop free to play game, and so some people made a server emulator for it, and you were able to play on that without all the shitty cash shop shit. But that's not what this is. Like, you literally cannot play the game, and all that the fans are doing is making it to where you can play the fucking game. And Atlas is going so far as to straight up file a lawsuit that is going to upend the lives of everyone involved in this project. And
yeah,
it's also shut down the Reimagine server that I mentioned earlier because they're afraid of getting sued. Like, what if Atlas only went after Requiemu because they just didn't know that Reimagine existed yet? Who knows? So they're just trying to play it safe, which fucking sucks. I'm actually probably going to see if the server software is available on GitHub and try to grab it before it ends up getting taken down or something.
Aroa website, the only place to play Shin Megami Tensei. They can sue him, but they're not getting anything.
I've got nothing to give you, Atlas.
Yeah, they're like, we're gonna take your house, and you're like, good.
God,
Yeah,
fucker.
It'd be cool if Atlas was like, and by the way, we're also going to be making a new MMO, so stop doing this, so it'll won't cut into our bottom dollar. But it
no,
doesn't
Yeah.
sound like that's the case.
Like, that was I swear that was a thing that even Blizzard did whenever they were going to start up classic servers. They were like, okay, we're doing official classic servers, can you stop running private servers?
yeah,
And we're like, if you don't stop running private servers, we're going to send you a legal cease and desist letter. But like, they didn't at first because, like, why would you fucking attack the people that are willing to pay to play your game?
yeah. I don't know why people would want to do that, or why they would want to not support people who are trying to make your game, still
Playable.
alive, playable. Because you're obviously not going to pay the $12 a month to keep the server running for the
Right.
18 people that want to play it. But
Thank you for being a fan, but fuck you.
yeah, and I know Aroa said he played it. Did you like the game? Because I played it and I kind of hated it.
Oh no, it was awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so it was it's very much a product of its time.
Mhm.
Where they essentially tried to take the SMT formula and kind of shove it into a sort of EverQuest early WoW sort of feeling game. Um, it had some neat ideas. I liked how they still had like demon negotiation and stuff like that, but it just was so slow and dull. Even my brother-in-law, who is a huge SMT fan, couldn't play it for more than like a couple hours.
Yeah. I played it a little bit when it was still alive, I believe. And I wasn't a fan. I can say that. But there's a lot of like, I think just those outsourced MMOs, because I want to say that Atlas didn't make the game themselves. They probably outsourced it to somebody.
Yeah,
And
it's not too surprising.
they did that with Digimon as well, and that Digimon MMO is awful. They love doing that, and I don't know why. And they tried doing it with Final Fantasy 11. If anybody remembers, they were working with, I believe, NCSoft to make Final Fantasy 11 mobile.
Oh
And
God!
that never happened. It never came out, and I was excited to try it because I wanted to see how bad it was, but unfortunately, it never got released. Anyway, hopefully, this doesn't become a trend, and hopefully, it kind of gets maybe not stricken down in court, but the part where the running a server emulator is the illegal part, because otherwise that basically makes it illegal to run fan games like this.
Right. It would be so dope if a court was like, no, if you're not supporting it, you can't tell people not to then support it. Like,
yeah.
Or like, if it'd be so cool if they had a court mandated ruling that were like, unless you have intentions to do something with this, it must be abandonware, and this must be available for people. Like, I feel like there's already conditions where this should be supported, and it's just not.
Well, yeah, and we've spoken before that I said if you're going to take down an MMO with no plans of relaunching it, it should be a legal requirement that code then becomes open source. Like they should be required to do that.
I think at the very least they should be required to release the server, like the
you
the
could host your own
binaries.
black box.
Yeah, they should be able. They should release like a Docker container for the server or something like that.
Something you can spin
I
up.
get why you wouldn't, because I have historically said the same thing, but I do get why you wouldn't want to make everything open source. You should still have to, but I get why you'd be against that. But I see no reason why you wouldn't go like, here's the binaries for running the game and all the requirements for that. There you go, have at it. If you want to reverse engineer it, then have fun.
Right, run it as an executable in your Steam library. Done.
Yeah.
that would be great. Or like, oh, here's the VMware server, so you can just pop it on your computer, have fun. But yes, I think there should be something that we just don't kill these games that people enjoy playing, because there's always going to be those 10 to 20 people that want to play the Shin Megami Tensei Imagine, and they can't, and especially right now they're running out of options to do so. Or a game I've always been interested in playing, but I have never been able to play, which was Matrix. And I don't know if there's a private server for the Matrix Online. And I know there are differences. It wouldn't be like actually playing it. But it would have been cool to try out, and I never got to try it out. And I don't think there's a private server for it yet. And I hear Google looking for it.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm not seeing anything. Oh, yep, nope, here's one. Yep, Matrix Online emulator.
Oh, good. How far along is it, though? Because I looked up one, and they kind of killed the progress on it.
This might be the one that you're talking about, because it looks like this was posted in like 2014.
Yeah. They don't have any like active like good servers.
I think the problem though is like, how could you, right?
Right.
Because like the way that the game worked is you had people who were playing as the storyline characters, like actual humans doing that.
Yeah. And then there were...
Oh, wait. This one's still getting updated.
Oh, good. And then there was... there's another one that I want to try. There's a couple other ones I want to try out. There's the EverQuest game for the PlayStation 2. Champions of Norath. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you can't play it because all the servers are offline. And there is a guy who's like trying to get the server, like get servers made, but he's like, I don't know anything about coding. And we're like, oh, he's like, I'm looking for people that know how to code to help me out with this. And they're like coders are like, how much money are you going to give us? And he's like, nothing. So that hasn't really gotten off the
Time
ground.
for a Kickstarter.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I'm sure that would go well and not get immediately crumble.
That's the end of that project.
Yeah. So there are a lot of older. There's another one called Vanguard, Saga of Heroes, that was kind of a WoW competitor, but it ended up going free to play. It was another SOE game, and it got killed. And there is an emulator for it, but it's not perfect. And I really think that they should just be forced to release that code, or at least give some way for people to be able to launch their own private server and play it. And that's probably the best alternative in my opinion. Anyway,
SMT Imagine was developed by Cave.
who?
Cave.
I had no idea who they are.
If it's the company that like they have the same name at least as a company that made a bunch of like side-scrolling shooters back in the day. They still do.
Interesting. Maybe that
Like,
explains why it's so crap.
They made Gradius.
Interesting. I don't know. It's probably not the same people that made those, but yes, it could be the same company. Anyway, we are done for the day. Connor and I have a game to play in an hour, less than an hour, 45 minutes.
Less than an hour.
I want to thank you for being here, Aroa.
Yeah, it was. Yep.
And thank you for being here, Connor.
Yep, it was. Yep.
And I will be back with both of you probably next week. And thanks. Goodbye, everybody.
Okay, bye.
Goodbye. So we watch anime.